Donald Trump is at it again, and this time he's using a fatal midair collision over the Potomac River to push his favorite brand of racist conspiracy theories. Because of course, when tragedy strikes, Trump doesn't console the nation, he finds a way to make it about woke policies and himself.
EI and the claims that you've made, are you saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring? And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. A group within the FAA, another story, determined that the workforce was too white, that they had concerted efforts to get the administration to change that and to change it immediately. This was in the Obama administration just prior to my getting there. And we took care of African Americans, Hispanic Americans. We took care of everybody at levels that nobody's ever seen before. It's one of the reasons I won. But they actually came out with a directive too white.
Ah, yes, because a midair collision has everything to do with diversity and nothing to do with airspace congestion, mechanical failure, or human error, or even the result of direct actions taken by Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And before you hear the bullshit that Republicans are spreading, let's understand the facts of how something like this could have happened. On January 20th, 2025, the very first day of Trump's presidency, Trump and Elon pushed out the FAA administrator. On that same day, Trump implemented a hiring freeze, which included air traffic controllers. Then, on January 22nd, 2025, Trump gutted the Aviation Security Advisory Committee. But you know what definitely didn't contribute to the crash? The diversity hiring language that Trump cited, which, fun fact, existed under his own administration.
The cited FAA text that you read is real, but the implication that this policy is new or that it stems from efforts that began under President Biden or the Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is demonstrably false. It's been on the FAA's
Who said
website.
That, you?
No, it's on the website, the FAA's website. It was there in 2013. It was there for the entirety.
What I read.
It was there for the entirety of your administration
nice
too. So my question is, why didn't you change the policy during your first administration?
I did change it. I changed the Obama policy. And we had a very good policy. And then Biden came in and he changed it. And then when I came in 3 days ago, I signed a new order bringing it to the highest level of intelligence.
Actually, follow up to that fun fact, the FAA under Trump in 2019 launched a program to hire controllers using the very criteria he decried at his news conference.
Now, every administration since George W. Bush's has pushed to increase the number of people who have targeted disabilities. That includes people who may be deaf or blind or use a wheelchair. And that includes the first Trump administration's efforts to, quote, continue to promote and support the hiring of people with disabilities and targeted disabilities. That covers tens of thousands of jobs at the FAA, not just the people in the air traffic control tower. And all of this was in place during Trump's first term. His administration even announced a pilot program to help prepare people with disabilities for careers in air traffic operations.
So when reporters asked Trump what evidence he had that DEI caused the accident, he said this.
How you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash?
Because I have common sense.
You sure about that?
And unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
Common sense? Your common sense had you looking directly into a solar eclipse. Your common sense had you telling people to inject bleach during COVID.
Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with.
Your common sense also led to 34 felony convictions, so I think we're good without it. But here's the best part, because after blaming DEI, Trump then pivoted and blamed the Army pilots for the crash.
But we had a situation where you had a helicopter that had the ability to stop. I have helicopters. You can stop a helicopter very quickly. It had the ability to go up or down. It had the ability to turn. And the turn it made was not the correct turn, obviously.
What the hell is he talking about?
Changed the Obama standards from very mediocre at best to extraordinary. You remember that. And then when I left office and Biden took over, he changed them back to lower than ever before. I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first. And they put politics at a level that nobody's ever seen, because this was the lowest level. Their policy was horrible, and their politics was even worse.
So just to recap, first it was diversity's fault, then it was Obama's, and then Biden's fault.
Thanks, Obama.
Then it was the pilot's fault. I mean, what is next? Wind turbines?
If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, congratulations. Your house just went down 75% in value. And they say the noise causes cancer. You told me that one, okay?
Meanwhile, actual aviation experts and former FAA officials have said diversity hiring had nothing to do with this accident. Because it didn't. Tennessee Garvey, chairman of the Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals, confirmed that FAA hiring standards have never been lowered for diversity goals. And of course, despite Trump literally blaming diversity for an aviation disaster without any evidence, the media still tried to sanitize his comments. The New York Times reported that Trump linked the crash to hiring practices, instead of saying Trump is a racist who's pushing a racist agenda. It's the same pattern over and over again. Trump says something dangerous and the media treats it like a quirky opinion instead of a blatant lie that fuels hate and division. Meanwhile, actual leaders responded with facts. Senator Peter Welch called out Trump for pushing culture war nonsense instead of supporting aviation safety reforms. Disability rights activists slammed Trump for mocking disabled air traffic controllers despite the fact that FAA controllers must meet rigorous standards for the job. Imagine your country just suffered an aviation disaster, and instead of focusing on preventing future accidents, your president goes out in front of the press and says, "Excuse me, okay, we need less black people controlling planes." Which is exactly what Donald Trump did. That type of rhetoric is disgusting and dangerous. Trump's making this country less safe, whether it's national security or basic public health. Everything is a disaster. But speaking of health, I want to quickly thank today's sponsor, Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workout, sleep, and even stress management. And all you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. Your metabolism is like your body's engine. It converts the food you eat into the energy you need to keep going. Since your metabolism drives everything your body does, maintaining optimal metabolic health offers numerous benefits like easier weight management, higher energy levels, better fitness results, improved sleep, and more. Lumen provides personalized recommendations to enhance your metabolic health. It can also track your cycle in the onset of menopause, adjusting its recommendations to support your metabolism through hormonal changes, helping you maintain energy and reduce cravings. Take the next step to improve your health. Go to lumen.me/Gabe to get 20% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/Gabe for 20% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. Then came the best part at Trump's White House press conference, flanked by J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, and Sean Duffy, aka the Three Stooges of MAGA governance. Hegseth, who was recently accused of sexual assault, took the opportunity to say that the military will now be colorblind and merit-based, which is rich coming from the least qualified Secretary of Defense pick in history.
We will have the best and brightest in every position possible. As you said in your inaugural, it is colorblind and merit-based. The best leaders possible, whether it's flying Black Hawks and flying airplanes, leading platoons, or in government. The era of DEI is gone at the Defense Department, and we need the best and brightest, whether it's in our air traffic control, or whether it's in our generals, or whether it's throughout government. So thank you for your leadership and courage on that, sir.
J.D. Vance, who once called Trump America's Hitler, stood there nodding like a bobblehead.
Something the president said that I think bears re-emphasizing, which is that when you don't have the best standards in who you're hiring, it means on the one hand, you're not getting the best people in government, but on the other hand, it puts stresses on the people who are already there.
And then Sean Duffy, the guy who voted against FAA funding in 2019 while he was in Congress, is somehow now in charge of transportation safety.
The president's leadership has been remarkable during this crisis. We've had a whole of government response, local, state, federal, and when you see that kind of cooperation, it begins with the leadership in this body. So thank you for that, Mr. President. You make our jobs a lot easier.
But just to be sure, what else did Duffy have to say?
I don't want to go into too much detail about the information we have from the FAA, but obviously it is not standard to have aircraft collide. I want to be clear on that.
No shit, Sherlock. When has it ever been standard to have aircrafts collide?
What an idiot!
Oh, what a loser! And in response to Donald Trump and his disinformation, this is how a transportation secretary should respond. Pete Buttigieg said, "Despicable. As families grieve, Trump should be leading, not lying. We put safety first, drove down close calls, grew air traffic control, and had 0 commercial airline crash fatalities out of millions of flights on our watch." President Trump now oversees the military and the FAA. One of his first acts was to hire and suspend some of the key personnel who helped keep our skies safe. Time for the president to show actual leadership and explain what he will do to prevent this from happening again. But this is the Republican Party in 2025, an actual clown show where grifting and blind loyalty matter more than competence and leadership. And the only way that he wants to deal with it is blame DEI.
Second for your signature, we have a presidential memorandum titled Immediate Assessment of Aviation Safety. In light of the damage done to aviation safety by the Biden administration's DEI and woke policies, what this presidential memorandum orders is for your Secretary of Transportation and FAA Administrator, in this case acting FAA Administrator, to basically ensure that we are actively undoing all of that damage, that we are assessing how much damage was done, and that we're ensuring that people hired within the FAA, in keeping with your memorandum of January 21st, are only the most outstanding, capable people for the jobs that they're being hired into.
In other words, competence.
Yes, sir. Elevating competence over everything.
At the end of the day, Trump's racist nonsense isn't just dangerous, it's a distraction from the real issues. The crash wasn't about diversity hiring, it was about aviation infrastructure, air traffic control staffing shortages, and military-civilian flight coordination failures. But instead of addressing real solutions, Trump is out here saying, "Too many black and Latino controllers," like it's some logical explanation for a midair collision.
Because I have common sense.
We are officially back in the Trump era, where every problem is blamed on DEI, every crisis is exploited for political gain, and facts, well, they don't matter. Only grievance politics does. So buckle up, America, because Trump just took over the cockpit and we are all on this turbulent ride together. That's today's episode. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel at I'm Gabe Sanchez, now's your chance. And if you want to support my show and become a member, you can join me over at Substack at imgabesanchez.substack.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to the audio version of What Was That, perfect for when you're on the go or just relaxing. Catch every episode wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and this has been What Was That?